All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Growth Grit Grind podcast. My name is DJ Shirley. I'm the owner of Speak Loud Group, and we started this podcast specifically for entrepreneurs and business owners and business leaders to help one another. Frequently, almost every episode, we're going to be interviewing another business owner or entrepreneur and talking about their journey, their path, the obstacles they overcame, challenges along the way, what they found that works, what didn't work, and how they overcame those and still kind of kept going, kept moving, and built their business. Today, no guest, you just have me. We've got a ton of awesome guests that are lining up through the end of December and on into January and February, and I'm really excited to bring those to you guys. Today, I wanted to focus on, I'm a constant learner. We own a digital advertising and marketing company that we've built and are continuing to build, and we learn lessons along the way. Episode 1 was a lot more about us, but today, I'm a constant learner, not just about the digital marketing and advertising space and marketing and advertising in general, but the business landscape, learning as much as I can from as many people as I can from different angles, different industries, because I feel like we can always take things away and implement them in what we do. And so today, there's a few people that I follow and watch. Actually, there's a lot of them. I'm a huge audiobook fan. I'm on the road quite a bit from going to meet with clients and going to shoots and things like that. Just today, we were at a fundraiser event and was driving out there listening to an audiobook on the way out there. And today I want to share with you just a few things that either I myself have learned and have implemented into our business, or that I have taken from other people that have been able to build very successful businesses. Whether I agree with every single thing and every single principle that they put out there, maybe or maybe not, but there are some things that we can take from them from a business standpoint that 100% we can absolutely integrate into our own lives and our own businesses. And I hope that some of these maybe is something that you can take away and implement in yours and be a driving force for you guys moving forward. So let's just jump right in that. Number one is I'm a fan of Mark Cuban. I'm in Dallas area, so I'm a Mavericks fan and things like that. But looking at his story and how he built his business and the things that happened and what he's continued to do with the Mavericks, and then I'm a fan of Shark Tank, so watch Shark Tank again. I just enjoy the nature of business and I enjoy learning about it. So I'm a fan of that show, and I enjoy many of the lessons that I've kind of learned from watching Mark and even reading his book. So one of the things that he talks about is embracing the risk and learning from failure. He's kind of known for kind of how he approaches business. He's very bold, even on Shark Tank. He's kind of one of those, like, he's a no BS guy. Like, he's going to say exactly what he's thinking. And that's just the way that he approaches business. But he has always emphasized the importance of embracing risk and kind of learning from failures. He's always giving the advice that don't see a setback as always a negative thing. That's our first reaction, right? And we go, oh my God, this happened to me and this is happening. And now we talked in one of the last episodes about getting 30 minutes. Like, you get your moment to feel upset or angry or, pissed off or whatever that reaction is. You get that moment, but then you have to be able to jump back. And he advises a lot through his book and through some of the things that I follow him on, that he advises entrepreneurs to see setbacks not as defeats, but as learning opportunities to improve upon. And I think that's huge, because the nature of businesses, you can have up and downs. You can have days, weeks, months, quarters that are not great, and they're discouraging. And then you can have others that are, just amazing, incredible. It's like nothing could go wrong at all. But there are some of those ups and downs, especially while you're building and while you're navigating exactly who you're going to be and who your business is going to be when it grows up. You're trying to figure out what your brand voice is. You're trying to do these things, and you experience a roadblock or a setback. And a lot of times we look at that as a defeat or as a failure. And instead, if we flip that, a lot of life and business is about perspective. And I work in media, so we call it lenses. When I'm talking to people, I'm talking about looking through different people's lenses. When we're looking at it through our own lens, we go, oh my gosh, this is a huge problem and this is a huge impact to us. And what are we going to do? You take a moment to look at it from a 30,000 foot view and you go, how small actually is the problem in the grand scheme of things? Don't get me wrong, there are big problems that require big solutions. But if you look at it as an opportunity to grow and learn from it, you can change that perspective. And I think us that all have aspirations to have very large companies, we have to learn to do that, because we're going to have those moments that we're going to feel defeated, or like there's no solution, or we feel like we've tried everything and it hasn't worked, and we have to change our perspective or our lens that we're looking at those things from to be able to get past it. Otherwise, we're going to be 6 months down the road, 6 years down the road, and we're still going to have that same obstacle, that same roadblock, and we're not going to be able to get past it. We're going to look back and go, why has the business not grown? Why have I not been able to reach the goals that we set out? And a lot of it, we can go back and connect it directly to a moment in time that we had this obstacle, roadblock, or setback, and we stayed defeated. So I think our principle that we've kind of covered in that, Jen Kaiser talked about having 30 minutes. And I'm a big believer in that too, is you can have your moment, you can have the human reaction, but then you have to be able to, as a business owner, wanting to grow it to be a large company, you have to have the moment of realization that I have to be able to move past this. So I appreciate Mark Cuban and that, embracing risk. Sometimes doing things in your business are a risk. A new offering, a new product, a new launch, a new employee, a new investment. There's all these different things that have a level of risk. I mean, business itself, going into business for yourself is a risk just by itself. So we're constantly dealing with risk, but understand that if we never take those risks, we may never reap the reward. Some of you may be dealing with hiring your first employee, and it looks like this huge astronomical number, and you're going, man, that's coming directly out of my pocket or my profits. But think about down the road, if you don't make that hire, where will you be in 12 months or 24 months? Will you be in the same spot? Will that employee help you hit another milestone and then you can add another one? What does that look like for you? I just got through reading the book of Buying Back Your Time, and it's a huge principle in that. And we're going to get to that just in a little bit, but that is taking a risk, good or bad, and learning from even hiring and having to fire and things like that. You learn lessons through it that you're able to carry on to the future of your business. So good tip from Mark Cuban there. Next, Elon Musk. Obviously the driving force behind, Tesla, SpaceX, things like that. But he talks about focusing on innovation and vision. He's a big advocate for focusing on those things and having clear vision, is that he looks at things like if there's a problem and we can provide a solution. That's what I think you have to determine in your business. Is like for us, we are a digital marketing advertising company and we're full service. We do everything from the content creation side to the actual promotion of that through paid ads. We offer organic, we do SEO, PPC, and anything and everything in between. But we have to find out, what is the actual problem I'm solving? I was reading a book recently that talked about not selling the plane ride, you're selling the vacation, you're selling the beach, you're selling the relaxation, you're selling, time with your spouse or with your kids away and unplugged from everything else. You're selling the, unlimited drinks, you're selling the unlimited food, all inclusive. That's what you're selling. But a lot of people want to start with the plane ride. Well, look, we're going to take you down this journey of, we're going to go through, TSA, and then you're going to get on the plane, and then we're going to do this thing. Like, you're selling all the beginning building process, but reality is, like, my clients, they want leads. My clients want website traffic. My clients want brand awareness. Like, that's what they want. I have to learn how can I innovate that space? I mean, obviously there's tons of digital marketing and advertising agencies out there, but how can we innovate that space? And it's something that we've gone back to the drawing board multiple times of, how do we separate ourselves? How do we stand out from a crowded space? And you may be dealing with the same exact thing in your business, is that you have to figure out, what is it about us that is different than the person across the street or in the same town or maybe in the town over? What are we doing to kind of innovate our space? And yes, it takes time. It's not something you're just going to sit there one day and go, this is why. And of course, a lot of people have some of the generic things, and I'm not saying they're wrong or bad, but you can go, well, our customer service is better, our logo is better, our CRM is better. All those things don't ultimately sell the client on what they actually want. You have to figure out why though. Why is your customer service better, and what does that do for the client on the back end? That's what I think you have to figure out, is you have to navigate down that lane of, like, how are we innovating the space? But obviously I think vision here is very important, of knowing where you are and where you're wanting to go. And through that, I think some of the innovation comes from that, is that, point A, why you started, why you got started. You launched your business to solve a problem in most cases, whether it be a consumer problem or a business problem. You're solving a problem for somebody, or you're filling a gap, or you're providing convenience. It's still a problem. But through that, I think sometimes we lose some of that vision of, like, where we start chasing squirrels at some points. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are guilty of that. We start chasing these kind of rabbit holes of, either new products or new service, new SKUs, new this, new that. And a lot of times we lose the actual vision. Like, okay, we step back and go, do my clients actually care about this? Is this innovating their process? Does this vision match up with why we got started and why we launched in the very beginning? Obviously, Elon wants, and he's real big on, getting entrepreneurs to think bigger than they ever thought, and look at things that their company could potentially do to change industries. And that's what we have to sit back and do. And of course, if it was that easy, everyone would be $1 billion company and, would be innovating everything every single day. And innovation doesn't happen overnight, but to be moving in that direction, look at your space and your industry and who you serve and think about, how is everyone else doing it? How's everyone else approaching it? How are they marketing it? How are they advertising? I'm not saying, sometimes if it's not broke, don't fix it comes to mind. But for us to sit back and go, if I could change that, what if I approached it differently? What if I didn't sound like the rest of the guys? What if the people who we're targeting for our business are tired of hearing that same message? They're hearing it from everybody. So how do they weed through the noise and do the traffic and find what's true? Well, what if we said it differently? What if we approached it differently? That's what I think that Elon's kind of getting at here, is that if we're able to innovate that, even how we go to market, that it can change how an industry perceives. I'll be honest, with our space, there are a lot of industries that look at marketers and advertisers as like the devil. I don't know why. Probably because they've been through a bad experience. They were promised and guaranteed all these different things. They had money that was taken from them and services that were never delivered. I mean, it happens. So we try to change that narrative of like, we're a part of your business. That's how we have our consultations. It's how we bring on clients, is we are genuinely going to be an extension of your business. We become your marketing and advertising team. We're not just we don't know what they're doing and we don't know what we're paying for. We don't know what we're getting for it. Like, we want them to understand the process to the amount that they want to. We absolutely have some clients that go, look, we trust you, do your thing. We don't want to have to deal with it. That's why we're hiring you. We don't have the time to. We don't have time to think about it. We just want it to happen. But we still, even for those clients, we want to make sure that they understand what's happening and what they're getting. So I think that that's important. Sitting back and having that focus on innovating not only your business, but the people who you serve, but also making sure you have that clear vision moving forward. Another Shark Tank buddy, I want to call him a buddy. I've never met Mr. Wonderful, but would love to. Mr. Wonderful, you wind up seeing this, give us a buzz. Love to chat. He obviously, when you watch Shark Tank, he's one of those that he's real big. I mean, all of them are big on the money, right? Like, they want to understand the numbers and things like that. But that's one of the first things that Kevin usually asks is, tell me about the money. How much money are you making? How much money are you spending? How much are you losing? How much are you netting? Like, he wants to know that. And so he preaches, be smart financially and watch your bottom line. He absolutely stresses the importance of being financially responsible. And he definitely advises entrepreneurs to keep kind of a close eye on cash flow and be ready to cut losses with like non-performing assets or strategies. Again, rabbit trail that we just talked about, black hole, whatever we want to talk about. We are, as entrepreneurs, we are kind of the visionary side. We will see new avenues, new offerings, new ideas, new presentations. Like, we will see these things before anyone else does. We will have these grandiose plans and ideas that we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to do this and we're going to launch this website and we're going to do all these things. And in reality, there's not always something wrong with that. I don't think you can have too many eggs in your basket. We talked about that. I don't think you can, have too many eggs going on. I don't think you should have all the eggs in one basket, but I don't think you can have too many eggs in one basket either. You start to drop them and they start to break. So I think that as we're launching new services or a new offering or presenting in a new way, that we have to be aware of how our market is responding to them. If we have 470 SKUs inside of our online store, but we only ever sell 15, there's a problem. We're taking time to generate graphics and thumbnails and new listings and monitoring and probably paying more for whatever service provider we're using for all of those listings, when in reality, people only care about 15 of them. So I think that we have to be aware of where we're spending money, and we have to also be smart in that sense and sit back, 3 months, 6 months, once a quarter, whatever it may be, biannually. I don't care what that number is, but I think we have to, at a certain point, go, what services are we offering that people actually care about and are actually using? Is there a need? So like for us, I'm going to keep using us as an example. Do people care about our video work? Absolutely. We do video work weekly for clients, mostly for the purpose of running it as an ad for a podcast or for their YouTube channel. But yeah, we do video work a whole lot. Do people care about animated graphics? We don't do a lot of animated graphics. So particularly, what did we do? We outsource that now because we don't do it a whole lot. There's no reason for me to be paying for certain software or me to have a person sitting at a desk that's ready to knock out these animations. We might do an animation a few times a quarter. So for me to be able to go pay someone that's an expert to do that and knock it out, that's me being smart. That's me not having someone on payroll or paying for licenses or things like that we're only using ever so often. We, once per quarter, this is a good example as well, once per quarter, I go through and I look at all of our subscriptions, whether that be copyright-free music that we pay for, whether it be podcast software, whether it be video editing. It doesn't matter. We have probably 15 or 20 different subscriptions on any given month. And once a quarter, we go through those and we go, how often did we use this? Let's go look. And we go look, and we're paying $20 a month for this, or $50 or $80 or $200. And we go and look, and recently we condensed everything into like one CRM. We had 2 or 3 different things that were working to connect different pieces and automate things, and we condensed it down into one software, and we wind up saving several $100s a month. That's a good example of, I think, that we have to know where our numbers are. And sometimes it's not always product-based or asset-based. It's exactly like that. It's just expenses. What are we spending our money on? Same thing. Once a quarter, we look back and just really look at where we're spending money, whether that be outsourcing, it'd be advertising, marketing, anything that we're spending money on, equipment. And we go back and look and go, okay, we spent X amount of dollars over what we kind of projected, or we're under. And while under is not always a bad thing, we want to make sure that we're investing back into ourselves, whether that be equipment or upgrades or things like that. So we're just aware. So I would encourage you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that make sure that you know that. Be smart financially, watching your numbers, know what your bottom line is, and know where you may or may not have some fat that could be trimmed off, because it could be beneficial. There might be more things you could do with it. Maybe that extra employee that you're needing to bring on isn't as much of a hit because you went and found some of that fat that you can cut off. So we can thank Mr. Wonderful for that. Moving on. This isn't directly related to any one person, but this is just across the board, is that customer satisfaction is key. I do not think that the customer is always right, but I think customer satisfaction is key. I think we have to keep in mind, are our customers happy? Are we solving their problem? If we're not, or are we communicating that we're solving the problem? And again, I can only relate this back to us. If I don't show our customers what we're doing with their ad spend, if they don't see a direct result, I'll give you an even better example. Clients that we're doing lead gen from, they typically know. They're getting emails, they're getting text notifications, they're seeing new people come into their location, things like that. But some of them that we're running, say, branding campaigns for, where we are doing a huge video view campaign where we're generating all this data because we're going to turn that around in a quarter or 6 months and do, build out a retargeting program where we're going to go do lead gen. If I don't express over those 2 or 3 months, the amount of video views or amount of data that we've gathered, again, most people at a high level or at a very surface level, they look at video views and go, cool, a couple 100,000 video views. What does that mean? How much money did I make off of that? So we're very careful to explain and help them understand that this is for a bigger purpose, is that we may have multiple campaigns going on at once. For example, we run a video view campaign where we capture a couple 100,000 people that have impressions on that video that we're able to break down and go, okay, how many people watched 25% of this video, or 50% or 75%, or how many people clicked from the video over to the website? And then we're able to take them down this leg of that funnel of going, okay, people that watched 25 or 30 or even 50% of the video, there's a level of interest from those folks. Let's keep warming them up. Let's drip either another video on them that also does have an opt-in link, or let's throw an offer at them, whether that be a free offer, a BOGO, something along the lines that they will absolutely jump at, and let's gauge their interest again. We take them down that process to be able to generate a lead for a client. But if they don't understand along the way of how it's working or why it's working, if we didn't explain that from the beginning, but also communicate with them, they may not be very satisfied. They may be sitting back going like, I'm paying X amount of dollars in a retainer, and then I have X amount of dollars going towards ad spend, and like, what did I get for that? You have to be able to communicate with them, and that could be a tagline right in there. Customer satisfaction, but also communication is key. I think understanding, and even, I don't know if it's a poll that goes to your customers, however you want to do that. If you're in constant communication with them, it's easy to kind of gauge. But I think finding out, what you could improve, polling your customers, or even a blind survey. I love blind surveys because people feel like they can actually say what they think, and you can gauge that. I think that a lot of times we think that everything is smooth sailing and everything's going great, but the reality is our customers have some complaints. They have some things that they would like to see improved upon, and sometimes they're very minor. It'd be very easy for us to fix, but if we don't ask those questions, then we're never going to be able to address them. And before we know it, we don't have that client anymore. So I think it's super important for us as business owners and entrepreneurs is to be aware, engage our customers. And I think the easiest way to do that is obviously ask. It's easy to say, hey, just, you can ask them. I don't know that always customers are going to be super transparent or 100% transparent. They may tell you, well, I think there's some things that you can get, but if you were to give them kind of a blind survey, I think it would be probably pretty eye-opening to be able to focus on that. So moving along, we've got a couple left and then we're going to be knocked out of here. So adaptability and continuous learning. I talked about, audiobooks and things like that. I think that we have to, COVID, we talked about on several episodes that we had is like learning to be adaptable. Business environment changes constantly, and being able to learn what's happening and what's going on, whether that be, obviously like mortgage officers, realtors, things like that, they're going through this, market right now that they're having to learn the market. They have to read it. They have to know what kind of market are we in? How do we market a home? How do we market higher interest rates? How do we still show people that buying a home can still be a great idea? Shop the home, not the rate is one that I kept hearing from different people. And it was a great tagline that they came up with. And it's true. It is absolutely true. They could refinance down the road and things like that instead of missing out on the house that they really wanted. But we have to be able to adapt in those moments. And that's probably a really good example that I actually didn't have to use us on. So that's great because I've been having to use us a lot. And I'll use us again during COVID for us is, when we talked to prospective clients and they were going, man, like we're having to pull back and we're having to, I don't know about us spending more money on marketing and advertising. I don't know about shooting video and things like that. Our, kind of adaptability to that was like, look, that's exactly what everyone else is saying. Everyone else is pulling back. Everyone else is spending less. This is your opportunity to position yourself as the leader. You're not going anywhere. You're not going away. You're still here. You're pushing out lead gen and awareness and branding to clients that you would normally be really competing for their eyeballs. But right now you may be one of the only ones going after it. So actually we could probably reach more people for less money right now if we were to jump on this. And it wasn't a selling point. It was genuinely the truth. Everyone was retracting. So we were encouraging our clients and our prospective clients to dive into the deep end. So I would just encourage, stay, informed of anything going on in your industry, anything happening in the lives of whatever your clients look like. If, it's B2B or B2C, find out what's going on in their industry and be willing to kind of adapt and, transform a little. I'm not saying who you are or how you operate or your core values. I'm saying just maybe how you present it, and how maybe your offering looks maybe a little bit. You may have to tweak that a little bit, but continuous learning, I can't stress that enough. I call it YouTube University, whatever you want to call it, but there's so many things that you can learn about your space, about your consumer, about business in general, like podcasts like this. I listen to numerous other podcasts. I try to go through as many books. I'm a pro level subscription member on Audible because I do like listening. I do have a ton of books that I read. I've got a whole shelf over here. I'm looking at Sell Like Crazy. I'm looking at Sell or Be Sold. I'm looking at the Warrior book. I'm looking at Gary V's Crushing It. Though, I have physical books too, but I love audiobooks because I listen to them usually at least twice. But continue learning. Don't ever think that you've reached the pinnacle, that you know it all. Even these guys that you see on the stages that get up there and talk and have these awesome speeches, like those guys are continuing to learn from people around them. Typically their audience, as their audience grows, their knowledge has to grow as well. So I would encourage you to do that. Next, we got 2 left. So next would be delegate. I think that you have to be able to delegate. I think that sometimes it always comes from a good place that we may not necessarily, it's not always a control thing for us. I said this in one of the other episodes. It was, for us, it was a quality control more than it was a control. It wasn't that I felt like I needed to be in control and I needed the pat on the back, or I wanted to be the one like, well, I did this and I want you to be very proud. It wasn't even about that. It was that I wanted to ensure when we brought our ads team on and started looking and recruiting for them, that they were able to deliver the value that I expect them. They were able to deliver the results that I expected them and that my clients were going to be expecting from us. But that being said, so I think you have to learn to delegate. You have to look at what you're good at and what you're not good at. Is as a visionary, as the initial person that you may be doing all of it, you'd probably be pretty shocked if you write out every step in your entire process, from marketing to the sales cycle to the fulfillment, to, research, to learn, like write out everything and, mark how many hats you're wearing. I think you're going to surprise yourself that and some of you won't. Some of you that are early on and it's just you're going to know that like, yeah, it's me. I literally do everything and this exercise is pointless. But I think you should start looking at the book Buy Back Your Time would be a great read for probably anybody watching this. But that's what he teaches in there is he teaches you to look at essentially numbers, is to look at what you're worth, what your income goal is or what you're currently making, and you divide that. There's an equation in there that I'm not going to dive into. You got to go read the book to find it out, but he essentially gets you to a number that anything less than that, you need to be paying someone else to do. And I think, again, in the beginning, I understand that can be tough. That can be extremely difficult. But I think that as your numbers grow, there are things that you can do, whether that be a VA from out of the country. There are so many uses for them that they can do from, small task that they can get done for you that it's not a full-time wage. You can hire them for just a couple of hours a week. They could sift through your emails. They could get rid of junk. They can schedule things on your calendar. They can do social media posts. They can do ads. There's a lot of things they can do. And I'm not going to say that every single one of them do them well. Any of you that have used VAs know that that's a process as well, just like hiring someone is. But learning to delegate some of the things that are time consuming for you that you could be doing profit type work. A lot of times we get caught in the busy work. We're answering an email and we have to do the things. But then when we start to grow and start to realize that I could delegate this task to someone else, that way I could work on revenue generating task or business building task, then that's what I should be doing. I should be making the investment. And sure, maybe in the beginning it means your net, your take home, your in your pocket, your hitting your bank account is a little less. But again, think in the long term. Think about fast forward 6, 12, 24, 36 months down the road and go, where would I be if I still tried to do it all myself? Or alternatively, where would I be if I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that person for a few hours a week? And then that grew into several hours a week. Then that grew into they're basically working for me full time. Then that grew into I got a couple people in my office. Then you're 36 months down the road and you're going, my revenue went from 1.6 million to 4.8 million in a matter of 24 months because I would have never had the capacity to do that on my own. There's no way I could have managed it completely on my own. So being okay with delegation, I think there's so many folds to that, is that you have to mentally wrap your head around it, but also you need to sit down, even if it is just you right now, and you need to begin documenting your processes. Is sit down and go, what do I do? I talked about writing out your process. That's just the start. The rest of that is building white pages or whatever you want to call them, SOPs, for each step in your process and go, this is what I do when I'm setting up a client meeting. This is what I do during the client meeting. This is what I do directly after the client meeting. This is how I follow up. This is how I build a proposal. This is how I send it. And I understand it sounds overwhelming. It sounds time consuming. It's something that we're working through right now for different legs of our business. So I'm preaching to the choir, but it is something you need to sit back and do to ensure that as your business grows, you have pieces of those ready to go to hand off. So much easier to hand a VA or an employee that's in your office a white page, an SOP, and go, here's what I need you to do, and this is exactly how I want it done. Solicit feedback for sure. You don't know everything. You may bring someone in that winds up being a rock star for your team and can help you refine that process, but you have a baseline of where you want to start. But do not be afraid to delegate, and you need to delegate, and you need help from other people that are around you. Next and last, growth mindset. This ties into everything we just said, is believing in yourself, believing in the vision that you have, remembering why you started, remembering why you wake up and do it every day. And I don't care what that looks like. It could be that you came from a not so great environment and you don't ever want to be in that environment. You don't want to grow up. You don't want your children to grow up the way you grew up. You don't want to be poor. You don't want to work a 9 to 5. It could be numerous things. It could be that you want to change the world. You want to change the political landscape. You want to launch the best greeting card company on the planet. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I know that for us, I'll give you a peek into us, is that I looked around and I saw all of these agencies that were incredibly expensive. And I'm not knocking them. More power to them. Honestly, our packages have gone up as we've grown because they had to, and we had more offerings, so naturally they should. But I saw some and I was like, you know what? There's not a space for smaller businesses and medium-sized businesses to also be able to afford some level of digital marketing and advertising. And I want to create an agency that at least has some type of offering that can help those small and medium-sized businesses, especially our office is located in a town of like 60, 70,000 people. We're very near the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex with a bunch of other larger cities right next door. But when we focused on our hometown, it was like, I have to have an offering for them. If we're going to open here and we're going to support the community like we want to, then we have to get going. And the easiest point of entry and the best way for us to get going is to truly care about this community. And we need to build an offering that fits that. Now, as we've began to expand and gone to other cities and we've gone out of state and things like that, different offerings look different. Different companies need different things. Different solutions look different. But the whole time is they had to have that mindset of like, we're starting at point A, but we want to go to point Z, and there's steps along the way. We want to be a massive agency. We want to be a huge agency. Like, we want to be able to service clients all across the United States and around the world. We have a number. I'm looking at one up on the wall, and it's from a book, but it takes out essentially what $1 million a year is. And us working towards any type of those numbers, and actually it's not enough, but there's other signs that we have. When you start talking about a 10, 20 or 50 or $100 million, advertising agency, for us, we have to think about the right now, and you have to navigate the processes you're going through, but you also have to think about tomorrow. And you have to think, when I say tomorrow, I think you guys all get what I mean, that we're talking about the future. We're talking about down the road. Who do we want to be when we grow up? Is there an end goal? I don't know that we necessarily have an end goal. It's not necessary to have to know what your end goal is. I mean, we have numbers that we want to reach, but is that end goal that we want to do, we want to be $1 billion, advertising and marketing agency, and we want to run the world? Or is it that we want to be acquired at a certain point? I don't know that there necessarily has to be an answer, especially right now for you, but I think there has to be goals. And you have to have that growth mindset. And what I mean by growth mindset is all the things we just talked about. If you're not willing to delegate, then you don't have a growth mindset. If you're not willing to watch your bottom line and know where you have fat and be willing to cut it, then you don't have a growth mindset. If you're not willing to do some of the things that we just got through talking about from Mark Cuban or Elon or, Kevin, or even just some of this general advice that we've just picked up along the way, then you don't have a growth mindset. If you're not able to pick yourself up out of a negative situation or out of a tough situation, doesn't always have to be negative. You can just be tough, or a tough pill to swallow. Let's just go with that. That means that you don't have a growth mindset. And so for us to be able to sit back and go, that sucked. It was not fun. It was not a great experience, to say the least, but I know where I'm going. And that's the motivation that picks us up. And our why ties back into this: our spouses, our kids, our legacy, our community, all the things that we started for all tie back into that, is us being able to pick ourselves up and keep moving forward because we have a goal at the end of the day that we're trying to reach, that we're going after. And for me, it's not even about... Personally, it's not even just about me. Obviously, my wife and my kiddos and the legacy we leave for them. My youngest has already said she's going to run our company. So, hey, more power to her. Take this thing from me, right? So, but for me, it's about other people as well. I want to be able to have an incredibly blessed team. I want the people who work with us to feel like that they are in an incredible environment, that they are doing good, and doing good for other people, and really enjoy and have a fun work environment. That's one of my growth mindset things, is that I want that them to feel like they're a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And I want to feel like we're a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. And again, just knowing that we have that goal, that we have something that we're going after. And it doesn't always have to be like that right there is not necessarily monetary. Now, for me to get there and to have a team of 50 or 60 or 150 or 160 people, that takes a monetary goal. But it's the principle and the mindset behind it, is that we have that growth mindset for multiple reasons. So I would encourage you, have that growth mindset, see where you're at now, look down the road and where do you want to be, and strive to hit that. And everything that I've just said in this podcast ties directly back into that. Learning how to delegate, learning how to adapt, and continuing to dive in and learn from other people who have done things before you, good, bad, ugly. Learn from mistakes. Same thing. I mean, Mark Cuban was one of those examples. Putting your customer's focus hat on, being financially responsible, focusing on innovating your space in your industry, and then obviously, be willing to take some of those risks that we kind of talked about. I think all of those things tie back into growth mindset. So it's a great way for us to be able to close this episode. I hope these were helpful. I hope that you guys can take something from this episode. I'm excited about the episodes that are coming up that we're going to be putting out. I love where this podcast is going. I love the direction of it. I've really enjoyed getting to hear some of these stories. I personally have taken something from every single person that we have interviewed that we're going to be able to go implement into our business and learning from those individuals. So I would encourage you, if you like this podcast, subscribe wherever you're watching and or listening to. I'd appreciate the subscription, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about some of the episodes. Share away, right? Feel free to share away. And if you're a business owner, and you have a successful established business, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us. You can go to the Speak Loud Group Facebook page and message us there. We do not have a Facebook page for Growth Grit Grind because we're hosting it on YouTube. So, but drop a comment if you want to leave your email or something like that. If you're interested in being on, would love to chat with you and see if we can't schedule something. So again, appreciate you guys watching and or listening, and we will see you next time.